Mr. Kelso, you're the running for president as an independent. That means you're a courageous man.
Yes, sir. I just declared tonight as an independent, but I've been running in the Democratic Party from April 15th up until tonight. I changed my party affiliation yesterday, and we started as the independent campaign tonight.
Well, I'm all for independent candidates because I think the two-party system doesn't bring out the real issues. So I appreciate your efforts and other people like yourself who have done similar things. Let me ask you a question. What do you think about about the government? Your basic views about the government. Should the government protect us against environmental hazards?
Absolutely. I think we need to have strong environmental laws. I think that we can get to the point that we're overregulated at times, but we see what's happened in places like Flint, Michigan recently, where the environmental laws evidently were not protected and government had intervened and did the wrong thing. And so hopefully we can have strong clean air, clean water laws across America and we do have those in place. I don't know what happened, why those were not enforced in Flint and how that all came down. I haven't done a total investigation of that, but we've got to have clean air and clean water and also deal with climate issues.
So should the government protect us against climate change?
I think the government can have some role in that. I do think that it should be also private enterprise that should be involved in that as well. One of the biggest issues there with climate at this point is the failure of the Obama administration to be willing to pay the $1 billion that was requested at the recent summit for reforestation of trees throughout the world.
So you think the government should protect us against climate change?
I think it can.
And you think the government can actually control the climate?
I think it can help. I don't know that
totally. Okay, but what are the main factors that affect the main conditions or factors that affect the temperature of the Earth?
As far as the temperature of the Earth itself, I think the carbon monoxide level has a lot to do with it. The greenhouse gases has a lot to do with it, and the amount of carbon monoxide that is produced, fossil fuels being used.
What about the sunspots?
Sunspots can also have an effect upon the ionosphere.
Don't the sunspots, aren't they the main factor determining the temperature on the Earth? If there's a lot of sun activity, it gets hot here. If there's very little, it gets like an ice age.
Yeah, I think there's a number of factors that affect the temperature of the Earth.
Right. The wobble of the Earth also affects the temperature.
That affects
that changes
the changes of the season.
Right. Well, so those things that are the primary factors controlling the temperature, the government can do nothing about.
Well, those things true, but we've also seen that despite all of the sort of existing factors that are there has been an increase in the temperature of the Earth over a period of time. That's been a sustained rise in temperature, and they're expecting another predictable 4 to 5 degree rise in temperature by the end of this century. So, we just need to take some efforts. China's the biggest polluter in the world.
So you're worried about the increase in the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere?
I am concerned about it. Yeah. I'm not sitting around losing sleep over it, but I think we need to do something about it in terms of we need to get China particularly involved in having as clean an atmosphere as we have here. That would be a big step. And I think reforestation of trees, we could be doing something in that respect that would help quite a bit.
Let me ask you about that.
Private technology, I think, will also be stepping up to help with this. So it's not all government.
What percentage of the Earth's atmosphere is carbon dioxide?
I have not looked at the recent percentages of that, so I really couldn't tell you. I don't know what it is.
Just a ballpark figure, is it like 10% or 20% or 15%?
I wouldn't think it would be that high.
Or 5%?
I would say probably 5% or less. Just guessing.
Yeah.
We're made up of nitrogen and oxygen primarily.
Right. So would it surprise you that the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is less than 1%, it's less than 0.5%, it's less than 1/10 of 1%. You know how much it is?
I haven't measured it, sir.
It's 0.04%, which means that carbon dioxide is 0.0004 of the whole atmosphere. Now, the increase that there's been in carbon dioxide went from 0.0003 to 0.0004. That's the big increase that we're talking about. So,
Yeah,
what
that's
what
it.
in fact is the greenhouse gas that is most prevalent in the atmosphere, the one that really does all the global warming, or the increases the heat because it traps the convection in the atmosphere. What the greenhouse effect? Which gas is actually doing most of that greenhouse effect?
You know, I hadn't studied it well enough to be able to tell you.
Well,
'cause
it's
I'm
water
told
vapor.
that-
It's
I'm
water
told that
vapor. Let me.
Carbon monoxide, water vapor.
It's water vapor. Water vapor is
changes
two,
to the
but
ionosphere,
just let me
loss
refresh
of
you on
the-
the facts.
Loss of
2% of the atmosphere is water vapor, and water vapor is a greenhouse gas. If you're thinking that we want to reduce greenhouse gases, well, we want to first focus on water vapor, not carbon dioxide, because it's doing most of the greenhouse effect. But anyway, so why did the environmentalists change the name from global? It used to be called global warming, remember?
right.
And now they call it climate change. Why is that?
Probably the way they want to write the narrative on how people think about it.
Well, let me
So-
ask you this question: if you call this,
I don't know that we can continually say that there's global warming that's significant enough, but I think people want to claim the climate change because of the less ice at the poles and that sort of thing. You know, they're saying there's this.
well,
huge
that's a
climate
result
change.
of the increase in the average temperature of the Earth.
Right.
Right. So,
And
but
the rise in waters around the globe in terms of the melting of the ice.
well, if you argue that there is global warming, it's possible to prove that you're mistaken, right? Because if the temperature doesn't go up, if the average temperature of it doesn't go up, then you have been proven wrong, right?
Well, most of the
Is that true or
articles, most of the articles that I've read have indicated that there has been an increase in, in warming of the Earth.
I agree. There has been. That is my information
Since
as well.
1800 to now, it's
Right.
over 1 degree.
Right. So, but if you say there's global warming, you can be disproven, because if the Earth gets colder, then you lost the argument, right?
Well,
Or not.
The proof is in the pudding, I guess. If
Right.
you want to say, if,
Okay. Well, let me ask you this: if you say there's climate change, can you be proven wrong?
of course.
No, you can't.
If
Is
there's-
there any period in the Earth history where there
Well,
hasn't been climate change?
There's going to always be climate change.
That's right. So you will never be proven wrong, and that's why they changed the name, because
Well, so how you write
climate
the
change
narrative.
climate change is an irrefutable fact, because either the temperature is going to get.
Are you interviewing me or am I interviewing you?
Well,
I'm
well,
not
that's
sure.
a good point. You made an excellent point. I agree with that. So let me get back to my questions, but I just want to wrap this little thing that we're talking about up, which is, climate change is always going to happen, right? Or not? You
Well,
disagree with that?
I think there's going to always be changes. In
It's always
climate
gonna
over
be
periods of time. That's-
either the
history
av-
of the Earth shows that.
Yeah, either the average temperature is going to go up, or the average temperature is going to go down,
We could have a huge
Right.
volcano tomorrow that puts a big shadow over the
and
sun
then everything will
everything
then get cold. That's right. Okay, so let's take to heart your observation that I'm talking too much and not asking enough questions. I
all
like
right.
that. I like that. That's good. Anyway, so let's get back to the functions of government.